The competition, what's the playing field that we're entering into? First, let's say I got to cover what not competitors. So other nonprofits with sustainability in mind, we work with them. We've already done several events, most recently a panel that was with other nonprofits. We work together. We're not competing. We may be looking for funds from similar places, but we work together. We don't believe that we're competing with people in fossil fuel companies, even leaders. The CEO of Exxon, we don't see as a competitor in the same way that Mandela did not see de Klerk as a competitor. But we believe that they are on our side because they want clean air, clean water, clean land as well. Now, our competitors are more polluting systems, industries, as well as government. Government does pretty well continuing to sell off lands and so forth. So these we see as what we're looking to change, what we're up against. Also, as leaders, the beliefs, the values of lethargy, of people believing what I do doesn't matter. Only government can make a difference. Only corporations can make a difference. What I do doesn't matter. That is the main competition, and that's what we're up against. Our competition is of beliefs and values. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, I hope you do well, Josh, but it's not really going to make a difference. That's at the heart of what's going on. That's what's driving our behavior. Michael Moss, one of my guests, a best-selling author and Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Salt, Sugar, Fat, How the Food Giants Hooked Us. He knows how industries get people addicted. And he has this great phrase, when people know that they want to do one thing, the healthier choice, and instead they indulge, knowing that in his case it'll make them sick, in our case that'll pollute, that's the addiction talking. You may have seen the movie or read the book Merchants of Doubt, how a handful of scientists obscured the truth on issues from tobacco smoke to global warming. And that book shows how the industries that are benefiting from things that produce global warming, they obfuscate, they deny. Actually, the book Industrial Strength Denial, 8 stories of corporations defending the indefensible from the slave trade to climate change, takes it back even historically farther. That is our competition. Centuries of obfuscation, denial, and tactics and strategies that are very effective. That's our competition. That's what we're working against. And it's changed. These things have happened before. And I want to point out, the doomsayers were not the scientists. Say in the case of the ozone hole, and scientists said the ozone hole is decreasing, and if that keeps happening, we will get more sunburn, we'll get more cancer. It could be, they talked about the major problems that could come. They weren't the doomsayers. The doomsayers were the people who said, we need CFCs. If we don't have them, we'll lose refrigeration. Well, my refrigerator works pretty well, and it's not using CFCs. They were the doomsayers who did not have faith in people's ability to innovate, in entrepreneurship, and things like that. They're the doomsayers. Likewise, I live in Manhattan, and some years ago, New York City outlawed smoking in bars. Up until then, everyone's like, smoking? Of course you have smoke-filled bars. That's how it works. And people were concerned that people would leave bars in New York City and go across the river to, say, Hoboken and go to bars there. 2 years later, Hoboken had to ban cigarettes in bars too because people were going from Hoboken to New York City. Exactly the opposite of what people expected. The doomsayers were off. Likewise, with cars with leaded gas and all, I highly recommend reading those books to hear about how people had beliefs that if we don't have the slave trade in England, then they'll practice it in France. And they'll practice it in Spain, they'll practice it in Portugal, and they'll get on profits. Actually, what happened after they outlawed the slave trade in England, England was able to persuade France and Portugal and Spain and other countries to stop it there too. It's the opposite of what people thought. And a lot of people are saying if the US doesn't pollute, someone else is going to eat our lunch. History says that the opposite will happen, that if we stop, others will stop as well. We could lead, but it's not that we're not leading, we're leading the opposite direction to more pollution. We could lead in the direction of less pollution. And I believe we would set the pace for the world, and that's what gives me hope that if we get started, we're not just going to change a few individuals from the sustainable life, but we can lead a nation and we can lead which will then lead the world. So the sustainable competitive advantage is to be leaders among managers. There's a lot of managers out there, but almost no, maybe no leaders. And so that's what we're going to do. Now we need to differentiate in a world expecting engineering tips and management. Mostly when I say I work on sustainability leadership, people say, oh, what should I do to reduce this? Even major corporations, they say, oh, maybe we should reduce our plastic use, or maybe we should reduce this. They look for management. They expect management because that's all they've seen. They haven't looked for inspiration. They haven't looked for the stories to change the images and beliefs that they have. And that's what we could do. Now it's possible that others will do it better than us. They'll see what we're doing and they do it better. Is it a sustainable competitive advantage? Well, I say if someone does it better and passes us by, inspired by us, that's even greater success. If they can do it better than us, that would mean less pollution faster, more joy faster.